Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Jason with Jadren Aquatics. Thanks for hanging out with me in the fish room again as we continue to talk about breeding for profit. Today we're going to talk about breeding for profit and what are the top 5 fish that I think you should be breeding in that 10-gallon aquarium that you have sitting over there in the corner, or perhaps the $10 bill sitting in your wallet that needs to go to Petco to buy that 10-gallon aquarium. But before we get that started, I want to tell you guys I will be set up at a show this weekend in McKinney, Texas. It's at a pet supermarket. I'll link that down below. Love to see you guys there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and let's go around and let's check out the top 5 breeding for profit fish to breed in a 10-gallon aquarium. All right, let's start out with number 5, and that is Endlers, which are a live bearer. These guys are super easy to breed. You basically put a male and a female together and soon your tank will look like this. These guys are really easy to take care of. They'll handle just about any type of water conditions. Well, you know what I mean, within reason. These guys will eat just plain flake food. You can use other types of live foods or frozen foods. When you use those type of foods, you're going to have even more success. You're going to have fry that are going to grow up faster. You're going to have parents are going to be having more babies at a time and healthier babies and quicker. Your food is always going to be that way, just with anything that you want to breed. One thing you want to keep in mind with these guys, the parents will have a tendency to eat their fry. They're not quite as bad as, say, some of the guppies that are out there, because since they're smaller, they have trouble eating the fry, but they will try to. So you want to try to keep some pretty dense vegetation in there. There's lots of different choices for that. In here, we've got a lot of guppy grass. You've also got Java moss. And my favorite one to use is hornwort. To me, hornwort is the one that's the least messiest. And the great thing about any of those plants is you can also sell those plants too. And when you have a densely planted tank or a densely populated tank like this, they produce a lot of waste and it creates a lot of nitrates and allows your plants to grow much faster. So now you're creating multiple streams of income from that one 10-gallon tank. So let's move on to the next one. Next one we have is Gardneri killifish. This is probably one of the ones that's going to surprise people, but these guys are extremely easy to breed. They're super easy to take care of. Their water conditions, they're not very picky at all. The only thing that scares some people is the fact that it has the word killy in it, so they think it's a fish that's going to kill all their other fish, which it's not, or it's a misnomer that the fish is not going to live very long. Gardneri typically will live 3 to 4 years if well taken care of. And so you can continue to breed these guys and breed these guys. So you've basically got 2 choices when you're breeding these killifish. Is you can create a very densely planted tank with some of the stuff we talked about before. In here you'll see we got Java moss and Sawasser tang. But if you want to get a very densely planted tank, these guys will constantly lay eggs every single day into the plants, and those plants and those babies will hatch in the plants, and the plants will provide cover. These fish aren't terribly bad about eating their young, but sometimes they will if they're not fed enough. But it's really easy. You get them to grow up in there. The only problem is that you're going to have when the babies are first hatched. It's kind of hard to get them to eat any type of flake food or any type of dry food. You pretty much need to hatch out some live baby brine shrimp to give them, because they're really looking for something moving in the water. But these fish are beautiful fish. You can typically find them for about $15 or $20 a pair, so it's not expensive to get into, and you can get a couple of pair or maybe a male and 2 females, and they will do absolutely fine in a 10-gallon aquarium. Your other choice with breeding these guys is to use the spawning mop. I'll link this above how you make these spawning mops. It's real easy. This way you can actually catch all the eggs. They'll lay those eggs in there and you can remove those every single day, and then you can actually hatch those eggs out in a separate container, and when they get up a little bit bigger, you can put them back in here with the parents to grow them out. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one we want to talk about is Bristlenose plecostomus. Now, again, these guys are about pushing the limits on a 10-gallon aquarium, so you really only want to have one male and one female in there. And again, these guys are easy to breed. You want to feed them. They'll eat flake food and stuff that falls to the bottom. You can get all type of plecostomus pellets to put in there. But what I find best is green beans. If you feed these guys green beans every single day, you will get those females nice and fat. And that means when they're fat, that means they have more and more eggs in them. And then the only other thing that you really need to do is you need to provide them with some type of cave. You see right here, we've got a smaller cave because these are some of the smaller ones that I have right now. It might not be a bad idea maybe to put a couple of caves in there of different sizes and let them choose the one that they want. And these guys will spawn quite often. You'll be surprised at how often they actually spawn. And then after the babies are born, they don't typically eat green beans right off the bat, but you can take flake and you can crush the flake up real fine and let it fall to the bottom, and the babies will eat on that. You also want to be sure that you keep some type of driftwood in there because all of them like to graze on the driftwood, and the driftwood will actually provide a place for some of the small types of bacteria and stuff to grow so that the babies also have something to feed on. But again, the better food that you... All right, number two. Number two is Neocaridina shrimp, or some people may just know them as cherry shrimp. These guys are super easy to breed. They're just about bulletproof. They're very difficult to kill. They'll eat just about anything, whether it's flake food. You see them in here devouring green beans. These guys come in lots of different colors. They come in a red, an orange, a blue. They come in a green, and they also come in a black. Now, if you're going to get these guys in a certain color, it's better to keep those colors together because their value is worth more. As you can see in this tank, I've allowed these guys just to breed like crazy. And what happens with that is you start getting all sorts of color patterns that are popping up, and they're not quite worth as much whenever you breed them like that. But the good thing about these shrimp is they can actually be bred in some of the tanks with some other fish, like the Endlers, because the Endlers typically don't mess with them too much. They will sometimes go after the babies, but if you keep, again, a densely planted tank, you're going to have very little problems with the baby shrimp being eaten because they've got so many places to hide. And the other important thing about keeping a lot of dense vegetation in there is it gives the shrimp tons and tons of places to actually eat off of because of a lot of the things that actually grow there on the plants. So again, you've got plants in there that you can put that can grow that you can also sell. So let's move on to the next one. All right, this is the one you guys probably knew was coming, but this has to be number one, and that is guppies. Guppies are a live bearer. Again, they're very easy to take care of. You're gonna put these guys in a 10-gallon tank. I would start off with a trio. That's one male and two females, and it won't take very long before these guys are breeding like crazy. Now again, they're easy to take care of. They'll eat just about any food, but we go back to the same thing again. The better food that you feed them, the better these guys are going to do. Now you need to remember, if you're going to breed these guys, you want to have a densely planted tank. If you take a look at this tank right here, this thing is absolutely loaded with hornwort, and that provides lots of places for the fry to get away from the parents. And again, you want to try to feed these guys quite a bit, because if you keep the parents full, they're a whole lot less likely to actually go after the fry. And the other good thing about these is it's really good to be able to breed these things with shrimp at the same time. Shrimp, I've found, do much better if they're kept in a tank with fish. I think it's the waste and the feces and stuff from the fish that the shrimp will feed on and just seem to do much better. You've also got the ability that you can breed your Bristlenose plecostomus in there too. So in reality, you could have a 10-gallon tank, you could have a pair of Bristlenose, you could have a trio of Guppies, and then you could have 10 or 15 Neo shrimp, and they can all be breeding in there together. And then on top of that, you can have Java moss, or you can have guppy grass growing in there also, and that also provides you an income stream to be able to sell those plants also. All right, there you go. There is my top 5 fish for the Breeding for Profit program. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. You guys got any questions or comments, be sure and leave them down below. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.